Welcome, everybody, to Mud Flood was Armageddon. The Mud Flood was the Armageddon. Do not let them tell you anything else unless they're willing to debate you in a fair and honest way. How long have they been lying to you? Before I show you the disclaimer, what you eat, you are what you eat. The lie goes, for some reason, I'm going to go this way.
Tastes like hot cocoa, and it's part of this complete breakfast. Cocoa eats can't be beat. It's the creamy hot cereal with the cocoa treat. To be big and strong, have lots of fun. Eat cocoa eats, everyone.
Uh, no. Here we go. Let's look at, here's your disclaimer. They were lying then. Refined sugar and cereal. Thank you, Seventh day Adventists, because it was the Kellogg's, it was Post, Toasties. Those guys did it. They were doggone Seventh day Adventists. This was something here. Spear taped gold, bronze, copper, spear. Just recently found it. Amazing. The Genghis Khan Tartars. I'm showing you the pictures I got since last night. I got this topic about Alpha Gal. Hopefully, I'm sharing the screen. Looks like it. There's that thing. They try to admit that's the Red Sea and that's where the Hebrews cross. But whenever you see these lines on a map, it's a rewrite. They use these Portolian lines to make it work on a globe. The second Ku Klux Klan. I mean, this was a big deal in the United States. I know people don't want to admit it. I did not want to admit it either. When John the Baptist came telling them to repent, they were very religious people. What were they repenting? Have you repented? Is there anything different about your religion that you didn't believe on that evangelistic night when they invited you to accept Jesus into your heart? Because you were scared you might get raptured that night. These election golden age silver gold, it's all a setup. Did I talk about this? Dubious. Free silver. It works in China. It works in Mexico. Let it work in the United States. Really, that was their argument not that long ago. This was going to be a short video. Yeah, I'm going to do this one later. I want to keep that thing rolling about I got to share the screen. Did you see this? Who thinks that it's okay that first you're going to stop them from delivering drugs? You pick a speedboat, one speedboat out of all the drugs being delivered, and you bomb them, and then it turns out the former Fox News person, I know you, it's the Clinton News Network. Everybody knows it. What is this guy better? It doesn't matter where you hear it. You 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 double tap somebody. They're survivors, and you go kill them all. Look, we're in trouble. You don't do that. Look at this here. This is that second Ku Klux Klan thing that we don't want to admit. I mean, they showed Birth of a Nation in the White House. It's the Freemason Rosicrucian, let's plan a race war at the end because that's what their god Satan wants. It's got to be obvious.
South.
Hang
They're a
on.
conservative organization, so they embrace a conservative cause.
You'll be up to speed on
Practice
Alpha
racism,
Gal.
but xenophobia, nativism, okay, anti-labor, anti-progressive policies. Okay, not just conservative organization; they're a regressive organization. They're a reactionary organization because what do they want? Turn society back to this mythical golden age in which people like them were on top and everybody else was on the bottom.
We're all on the bottom now,
See,
baby.
in the early mid, late, even early 20th century, 19th century, the this country was rooted. It was a white man's country, a white man's democracy. We're quite unapologetic about that.
They'll double tap you in Venezuela on a boat because you're bad. They'll lynch you, you're bad. They'll show it in the White House, that's not bad. We've had to rewrite history. First we did eugenics, then Hitler did it, and now we got this. It's not Satan. And now we got the alpha gal. Well, wouldn't it be nice if people didn't eat so much meat? Well, that's what alpha gal does. It makes you not eat meat. It's all part of the same plan. Satan's been loosed, been trying to warn the world. Do re mi, little old me. Hey, these guys are bad.
So, of course, you could imagine there's great symbolic meaning for white supremacists that place. And what do those idiots do? They decide to refound the Ku Klux Klan. And on November 25th, 1915, that very year that Birth of the Nation came out, these dummies enamored with that film and that particular narrative and the role that the Klan was given to the Klan in that film, decided let's bring back the Klan. And the uniforms that they adopt is not from the historical first Klan. It's from the film.
Yeah, I've been affected by films. I have, and it hurts to admit it.
So he was a totally apolitical. He was an outsider to politics, zero experience or interest in government or politics. He was a comedian.
Man, I'm gonna slow this guy down a little bit.
And with no manifesto, no party ties. And he does a TV show, a planned TV show called Servant of the People. And the main character in the show does a YouTube video that calls out oligarchs and corruption and eventually becomes popular and is drafted as a protest candidate and eventually becomes president. So Zelensky played on a TV show a person who becomes president by popular demand. In real life, the TV show is supported by an oligarch named Kolomoisky, who owned the TV channel. And Kolomoisky did a huge nonstop promo on that TV show to make it the #1 show. Primetime slots and ads everywhere and crossovers with the news and what have you. 2018, a year before the show goes off the air, Zelensky forms a political party called Servant of the People, the same title as the show. And in no press release, secretly done. And then he does another season of the show. And in April of 2019, he announces his actual candidacy on Instagram. He has no campaign, no rallies, no real platform. He skips the presidential debates. Others attended. He avoids press conferences, and the few that he did were in the beginning.
How about
really
that?
bad. And Kolomoisky's TV channel gave Zelensky's campaign endless airtime and favorable polls and went after his enemies. The U.S. intelligence agencies, CIA and NSA, helped. U.S. spending $5 billion, by the way, on democracy campaigns.
So, just we're only a couple minutes into this, or 2 minutes into this, and what is this? This guy's name is Gavin DeBecker, by the way.
Describes the new propaganda ecosystem.
How do we know this isn't a computer?
Like this. Modern propaganda is no longer broadcast. It is emergent. The most powerful persuasion now arises from decentralized networks rather than hierarchical operations, meaning there's no central command. There's no organized propaganda campaign. There's no mastermind. No Russian troll farm required anymore.
I would have thought there was. Now, Frankie Schaefer. He really was. I listened to a tape that he made called An Angry Young Man, and he was angry about abortion. He really did have an effect on history because of who his father was. C. Everett Koop, and his father was Dr. Francis Schaeffer, who wrote the Christian Manifesto that started the preterist postmillennial movement that I was in all my life until the Lord, you know the story.
His friend, Dr. C. Everett Koop, who became Ronald Reagan Surgeon General,
This is true.
with founding the evangelical wing of the pro-life movement back in the 1970s and 80s with a film series that I wrote and directed called Whatever Happened to the Human Race. And my father was a famous evangelical evangelist and theologian at the time, a household word in evangelical circles. And because he jumped in on the pro-life side,
Because his father was a narrow road walking, I think, with the spirit that had not lifted the veil of golden age past. We each had to live a different life, didn't we, Frankie?
it became a thing. And that thing led to eventually the MAGA movement. And that thing led to
He's talking about family defending the right to not have their taxes spent on Baal worship of child sacrifice. And they're acting like it's nothing.
Donald Trump being elected president because he said he would reverse Roe v. Wade, and he has. So in
Does it feel like abortion has ended in the United States?
that sense, we won. Well, about 40 years ago, I started to change my mind, and I'm on the other side of the issue now.
Right. He has not been faithful. Now he's doing whatever he can. He's always had his, you're a genius, you're an artist, you're so smart, because of his father and what he believed, and he milked it the whole time. We're in this world now where people don't talk about abortion anymore.
Let's take that at face value for a moment. How ironic that he is handing power now to the tech bros through J.D. Vance and Tucker Carlson and others in ways that we never could have imagined possible back in the 70s and the 80s, because of course the technology of genetic engineering in the way these people advocate openly now to perfect the human race, recreate it in their image, get rid of embryos that don't taste for high IQs and other genetic traits they want. In the way Elon Musk has had babies with 6 or 7 different women, 13, 14 different children, whatever.
Yeah, they put them in charge. Let's look at Alpha Gal. What do we got going with Alpha Gal? Let's try to get something recent here, not too long, but something from this week maybe. What do you got going here, Eric D.O.?
Welcome to the Human Momentum Podcast. I'm your host, Eric Schabert. I created this podcast to leverage 12 years of osteopathic medical training and over a decade of experience in primary care medicine to help
Well, how about that?
Antibodies to a complex sugar called alpha gal that is present in most mammals and as such is present on most red meat. It also happens that this complex sugar is present in the saliva of Lone Star ticks, and therefore there is some potential with repeated exposure to Lone Star tick bites to develop an antibody to alpha gal and therefore end up with alpha gal syndrome. The CDC states that there have been 110,000 reported cases that they strongly suspect are alpha gal syndrome. Of those, around 93,000 or so have had confirmatory blood tests that nail down the diagnosis. The rest did not have testing, but the clinical course and clinical picture fits fully with alpha-gal syndrome. The CDC
Huh. Now let's try this. I think they like it. Uh-oh. Wants to raise awareness. So nothing good here where they're saying about it. It's a autoimmune disease. The Lyme disease is a bad thing. 6 years ago. I'm going to ask it as a question. They really make it work. Let's see. Oh, they're thinking about it. Oh, it's a potentially life-saving that occurs. No vaccines to present it. Manage symptoms by avoiding foods. No, it's not only a meat. Debunking the myths. Well, this is pretty recent. Because I've actually, I did a show on it before, and they were people saying that if we could give people this, they would eat less meat and the world would be better. That's being pretty specific, but it didn't change it. Let's see what the prognosis is. That looks pretty shocking.
AGS, alpha-gal syndrome, or alpha-gal allergy, it's sometimes called, or tick bite meat allergy, even red meat allergy. Have you ever heard of this? Write in the comments if you have. By the way, not a lot of doctors have heard about this. In 2022, 42% of surveyed healthcare providers still hadn't heard of alpha-gal syndrome. So that's why we're talking about this, because you actually may need to educate your doctor. All right. We're going to call it alpha-gal syndrome for the remainder of this video, and I'm going to tell you what it is, why it happens, what the deal is with ticks, why they're really should clue us in, like, could this be going on? Also, if you have an anaphylaxis reaction with an unknown cause or an adult onset allergy, recurrent unexplained allergic.
Man, this with the jab and everything else, are you going to be okay? What about that little spot on your forehead? It seems drier than we're in trouble or not?
Molecules that can trigger an allergic reaction, right? By the way, this is not an
Enough. I think they say it's a viral weapon. Acquired allergy condition results from past exposure to certain tick bites. Now, these ticks, it's not hard to prove that some ticks are used in experiments like for the jabs that they have to do. They have to figure them out. They study them and sometimes they get loose. I think they possibly admit that what's happened here, the history of it. We'll look at that. Only in 2002, then in Australia, 2007, they discovered these individuals had some sort of IgE antibodies. Platt Mills was bitten, developed the alpha-gal allergies. His team concluded that a link existed. Well, there you go. 2019 has the highest rate of mammalian. They can't eat meat anymore. They can't eat dairy, other things. They have a very limited diet, but they're not dead. Similar to pork cat syndrome. Well, there's another one that the doctors hadn't heard of. This is exculpatory evidence that leads towards proof. It's evidence that makes people ask questions. In my life, I'm going to be, trying for one more semester here at school, but I'm not going to go to class anymore in my history of Mexico, where it seems there was that agenda where wrap it up that the history of Mexico, for somebody studying, advanced history, third level, the idea is Mexico would have been better if they listened to the Mayans and kept women in charge. I couldn't even question that. That it's like, where does it ever say the Maya women were in charge? And the history really is going to be that's it, based on a gay girl who fantasized about incest with her father, even though she had been raped as long as she could be remembered. She had been being raped, but she grew up being a Satanist. That was the first girl that thought she was a boy, and she thought Mexico would be better if they would have stayed with Mayan women in charge. And that was my summary. Now I'm done with that class. I've turned in a lot of work. I don't want to get a 0 like they stuck me with my freshman year at the militant lesbian dominated Adams State University in Alamosa, Colorado. I've had a few people talk about it. Now I'm talking about Alpha Gal, this and that. Frankie Schaefer trying to make a name for himself, like, pro-life, my dad, so he can, pretend to be an artist. Tired of all this pretending, and we know what's coming. They've set it up. It's going to be another 20 years. If you plan on surviving, it's not going to be fun, and you better be ready. It's a flat earth nation. The golden age is past, and you know it. They added 1,000 years. It's biblical because souls are at stake. Some people, like my friends and I, realize it's time to repent. We have to throw off what we used to believe about the Bible and accept what we have as proof from the Spirit, bearing witness on our heart. You added 1,000 years. The flat earth nation. The coming to grips with a world that claims that, well, it'd be better if women were in charge and abortion was legal. Okay, that's a pretty big deception that if you're born again, you're not going to fall for. Me and my friends will never tell you anything else. Amen. Hallelujah. Aho, aloha, arrivederci, ciao, sayonara, auf Wiedersehen, nakamen, adios, amigos, from the border of Colorado and New Mexico. You heard me say goodbye.